Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you. Come on in, make yourselves at home. It's Friday night, the will of Nate. Everybody happy that it's the weekend. Gotta cover up these red eyebrows. The curse of a ginger. Oh, it's the worst. Hey, Julie. Hello, Shirley. Hey, Tara. Hello, Howling at the Moon. Hey, Kimmy. Hey, Palm. Hey, Pamela. Hey, Bat Kitty. Hello, Melanie. Hello, Melissa. Okay, Anne, I fell in love with them. They are so beautiful. Hello, JD. Hey, Tigger. Hello, X. Hello, Anna. Hello, Lulu. Excited? Good, Bet Kitty. Oh, they were so gorgeous. Minutes. Hey, Kelly. Hello, Robert Wolfstein. I am good, X. How are you? Hey, Siamese. Hello, lovely butterfly. Hey, Turtle Woman. If you are brand new here, let us know. We would love to welcome you properly. Hey, Sandra Jefferson. How are you? There we go. All right, stories are ready. Hey, Beverly. I think so. I think so, Sandra. Hello, lovely. Hello, it's just me. Hey, Kimberly. Hey, Tigger. Oh, yes. Absolutely loved it. Who's ready for the Wheel of Fate? Hey, Raybab. Teddy is ready? Every time you say that, I picture you with a big teddy bear in your lap, just watching the stories. Hey, Ned and Sherry. Hello, Pamela. If I missed anyone, let me know. Hola. He's on your lap? Aw, I love that. Thank you. Oh, that's not what I want. Hola. Do you like scary stories? Welcome to Twisted Tales Live. I am your host, Bryn Morgan. I'm a horror author, and I love telling scary stories, not just writing them. Tonight is the Wheel of Fate. Let the Wheel of Fate decide the stories I tell tonight. 11 categories, and it can land on any one of them. Hello, Mary. Let's start sharing the live. Let's get some activity going. Let's get some excitement going. I know we're tired tonight. I know it's been a long week. It's been a long day, but it's Friday night. Okay, we get to sleep in the morning, hopefully. Hello, Amy. Hello, Anna Spa Girl. And let's start tapping, please. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Let's start sharing the live. 5 friends, 10 friends, 15 friends. Just so you know, your Night Queen thrives off of excitement, off of a sense of electricity in the air. Hey, Firefly. I don't know yet, Moya. I'm getting ready to spin. We are getting ready to spin right now. Mary Catherine, you need to move. Move. The categories are colorized. The white spaces mean spin again. The one with the white and red means Mary Catherine is going to get involved. The white and yellow, same. The Night Watchers are ready. As soon as the wheel lands on a space, they will pin what the story title is. Is everyone ready? Oop. I'm going to have this hanging on the wall in a new space. This is probably the last night that I will be in this room. And with that being said, let's do a practice run. All right, this is the real one. Oh no. What did I just land on? I landed on Mary Catherine. It's right on Mary Catherine. That means Mary Catherine gets to choose the story. All right, Mary Catherine. That means I have to hold this doll the entire time that I tell this story. So that means Mary Catherine is going to be right up in your face. And now I'm going to spin again. All right, Mary Catherine, we're about to get very comfortable with one another. And it landed here. Dark red. All right, and tonight's first selection is Alien Abduction. What is it that you know, Mary Catherine, that we don't? I think this music is perfect for alien abduction. Don't y'all? All right. At least you're not real heavy. Doesn't she, though? Oh, first, we've got to go into story time. So here we go. Lower your lights. Lock your doors. Pull your curtains nice and tight. Wrap yourself in your warmest blanket to avoid the chills that are about to crawl up your spine. And let's begin. Night dwellers, tonight we leave the safe lights of town and paddle into a black mirror called Eagle Lake, where the forest breathes and the sky looks black. 4 men went there in 1976. They lit a bonfire so huge it should have burned for hours. And yet they came back with no time between the sparks. They told of a light that watched them. A crab that opened like an eye. And a table where human prayers meant absolutely nothing. Investigators would test them. Years later, one of them would say part of it wasn't true, yet none could deny the light over the water. Hear it as it happened. Believe it or don't. But once the lake starts reflecting you, it remembers. Chapter 1. Ow. Ow! Mary Catherine! Really? Oh my goodness. There we go. How was her hair getting caught in my earring? That makes no sense. There. We'll do it like that. She looks mad. She looks so bad. Chapter 1. Water like a black mirror. The Allagash Wilderness is a map of midnight. Thick pines, cold stars, and lakes so still they double the sky. In August 1976, 4 art school friends set up camp near Smith Brook on Eagle Lake. Jack and Jim Weiner, Charlie Foltz, and Chuck Rock. They were young, wiry, and full of the kind of confidence that grows in summer. They wanted night fishing, so they stacked a bonfire beacon on shore, 6, 7 logs, a torch for their return, and pushed their canoe into the dark. Halfway out, the lake changed. The wind stopped. The water tightened to glass, and then the light arrived, brighter than any lantern, descending like a hungering sun that had lost its way. Question. If a light began to follow your boat across a dead, still lake, would you paddle closer to understand, or turn back before it introduced you and understood you? Chapter 2, The Thing That Looked Back. The men watched, thinking it was searchlight or plane, but the light held them, moving without drift, without wobble, watching. Jim lifted a flashlight and blinked a signal. The object answered, not in blinks, but with motion, drifting toward them with the arrogant poise of something that had done this before. Their paddles found the water. Fear found their bones. They turned the canoe, the bonfire, their only compass, and the craft followed. The shoreline didn't hurry to them, but the light did. Question. Would you look away from a thing that seems to be looking into you? Chapter 3, The Bonfire That Didn't Burn. They hit shore, ran the canoe aground, stumbled up the bank, eyes on that bonfire stacked high as a promise. It should have been a tower of flame by then, logs clasping to coals. Instead, it was barely whispers, barely embers in the night, as if no time had passed at all. Their chests heaved with the effort of a sprint their memory didn't own. Later, when they tried to stitch the minutes back together, there was a seam that wouldn't hold. A gap where fear should have been loudest, and that gap became the first true wound. They were missing time. Question. If your body says that you ran for your life, but the clock says that you never moved, what do you trust? Chapter 4, Dreams with Metal Hands. Weeks passed. Then came the dreams. Not one man's, but shared in the same fevered palette. White rooms, canted tables, instruments that hummed without wires. tall, thin beings with black, depthless eyes. Jack sketched them furtively. Charlie painted the lake with a shaft of light punching into it. Jim woke with the taste of metal in his mouth. The dreams did not fade, though. They rehearsed themselves. Egos fractured under the long screaming of a memory that refuses to belong to you. Question. If a nightmare arrives in chorus, 4 voices, same scene, do you still call it a dream? She likes you. Chapter 5. The hypnosis rooms. Investigators came. UFO researchers and clinicians across separate hypnosis sessions. Each man told overlapping accounts of being taken into a craft and examined by non-human beings. The same rooms, the same table angles, the same paralyzing fear. Polygraphs followed. Media followed. A book followed. The Allagash abductions, 1993. Their stories stepped into the bright, unforgiving room of public belief. Here is the cruel gift of recall. It gives you back what you wish had never been yours. Question. If remembering is pain, would you choose not to know? Ow. Okay, Mary Catherine, you've got to keep your hair away from my earring. Like, seriously. Ouch. Chapter 6. Inside the craft. The part that they wished that they hadn't remembered. Third person, but close. A corridor too narrow for comfort. Too wide to be kind. Walls that did not join, but flowed. A light with no source. A smell with no name. They were not marked so much as arranged, set into place by will alone. Their clothes were wrong on their skin. Their skin was wrong on their bodies. Something spoke without sound, and the meaning landed whole. A table, cool as winter steel, a device unfurled like a silver fern and touched the soft places of a face. Bless me. Pupils dilated under a dark gaze that never blinked. A needle that bent where no needle should. And yet it went in with mathematic gentleness, harvesting not blood or flesh, but information. One of the men thought of his mother, and the thing that looked at him tilted its head, as if curious about love. Question: if an intelligence can open your body like a library, can you ever be alone again? Chapter 7. They were prodded by microphones and polygraphs, featured on shows and in print. Each man stood on a little island of private terror while the world turned him to story. People said they're consistent. Some said they'd been coached. And yet the lake stayed the same, silent, watchful, waiting for the next night boat. The four remained bound to each other by a rope nobody else could see. Question: which is worse? Encountering something that you know you saw, but not being believed, or being believed by the wrong people? Chapter 8. Fracture. The doubt from within. Time spills things. Decades later, Chuck Rack publicly cast doubt on the abduction portion, calling parts of it exaggerated, but not all of it. Oh yes, I saw the craft. Skeptics nodded. Believers winced. The other three held to the memory they wished they could evict. Truth did not become kinder. It became messier. A legend is a house with many rooms. Not everyone can live in the same one forever. Question: if one witness recants the world's worst part but confirms that the light was real, do you discard the entire house? Or just close that room's door? Chapter 9. Return to Evil Lake. Years later, others came with thermal cams, drones, and the raw hunger to be first to prove. They found the same sky, the same hush, the same mirror. Some saw nothing but stars, Some saw a brightness that wasn't in any flight schedule. A few recorded spiking EMF where there were no lines, and a column of cold rising from the lake, like breath. The water offered no reflection when they pointed light straight down. The wilderness does not love ambition. It only observes. And sometimes it remembers you. Question. Would you go back to the place that broke you? Just to see if it would look at you again? Final chapter. The lake keeps its own time. Imagine the final scene you'll read tonight. The canoe drifting. Hold on. This has been a struggle for me. Hold on. We're gonna have to come up with some new way to hold Mary Catherine. She is attacking me again, Cruella. What am I supposed to do? If it lands on her again, I'm not doing this. I'm just saying. We'll switch to the other Mary Catherine thing. The men older now in your voice. Look at her hair. Oh my gosh. We've been fighting the whole show. The bonfire stacked like a promise this time to burn. The light doesn't need to come. The lake already knows them. It knows you now, too. They say missing time is just the brain's stumble. But what if the place keeps the time? And you are what's missing. On Eagle Lake, if you single the sky, sometimes something signals back. The difference is that it never wonders what you are. Look at her hair on Whitey. Oh my God. Question. If the lake remembered your face, would you let the water keep your reflection? And that is the end of the alien abduction. Oh my God, I'm so glad that wasn't like a 2-hour story. That would have been brutal. And I saw someone's comment about they just want to get a brush through the hair. So did I. It didn't work. She definitely needs her hair done. Most definitely. Bye, Mary Catherine. Good riddance. All right, let me put Mary Catherine away. That was such a quick story. I don't even know if it was 20 minutes. Was it? Was it? I lost track of time. I will be right back. Mary Catherine, you were a very bad girl. I think I'm taking that off the will. I don't know. All right. Let's spin again. Spin again. Red. Yeah, red. Is that alien again? No way. Is it? Bright red? Okay. I thought it landed dark the last time. Okay. I changed chairs, and that's what it is. It doesn't want to sit up on it. I'll have to do something different in the new space. No matter. We just keep going. Spin again. That wasn't a good spin. It keeps wanting to slip. No, we're not doing that. It keeps wanting to land on the red. No. Oh my God. I'm not liking the Wheel of Fate tonight. Black. What is black? Possession. I am telling you now, possession is going to be scary. X says no. Come on, X. You should be. This is a possession story that I was researching. I never had heard of it. So I was looking up possession, and this story popped up. And I was like, oh, wow. This one is insane. This is the possession of Michael Taylor. They call it the Osset Exorcist Schmurder. The terrifying story of Michael Taylor. Chapter 1. The Perfect Family Man. Sometimes the devil doesn't announce himself with horns and fangs and a pitchfork tail. Sometimes he hides behind the face of a loving father. Let me take you to Osset, West Yorkshire, England, 1974. Picture with me, if you will, a small market town. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where children play safely in the streets. where the most exciting event might be the weekly farmers market. This is not the kind of town where you'd expect tales of demonic possession, exorcism, and brutal murder. But that's exactly what makes this story so terrifying. Michael Taylor was 31 years old, living in the Havercroft district of Osset with his wife, Christine, their 5 children, and their family dog. Picture this family. 5 boys between the ages of 6 and 12, running around their modest home, laughing, playing, arguing like normal siblings do. Michael worked as a butcher and was described by everyone who knew him as mild-mannered, kind, and a loving father and husband. Neighbors would see him walking to work in the mornings, coming home to help with homework, playing with the boys in the garden. By all accounts, the Taylor family, they were that family that you'd want to live next door to you. Never made a fuss, always laughing. They would see Michael with his arms around his wife, kissing her in the front yard while the boys played with the puppy. It was perfect. But Michael carried a burden that was slowly eating away at him. He suffered from chronic back pain due to a severe injury years before, which left him unable to work full time and prone to bouts of severe depression. I know that I hurt my back once picking up something heavy, and I was in pain for months. So I kind of have an idea of what he was going through to an extent, and it hurts. Imagine being a 31-year-old father, young, watching other men go to work every day while you're stuck at home in pain, feeling like you're failing to provide for your family. The depression begins to creep in slowly. First, just bad days, then bad weeks. Then this constant weight of feeling useless, worthless. Are you there with me? The Taylor family wasn't particularly religious. They lived within miles of multiple churches, but never really found the time to attend. But when you're struggling, and when you're desperate, when you feel like you're drowning, that's when people start looking for something bigger than themselves to save them. And in 1974, in this quiet little town, Michael Taylor was about to find something that would change his life forever. Something that would turn a loving father into a monster. Something that would turn a loving husband, a tender husband, into a demon. Comment with a red flag if you already see the warning signs in this story. Small town horror hits different. I'm from a small town. Make a comment if you are too. Drop a breaking heart if you can relate to feeling like you've ever failed someone. Because when you're vulnerable and you're searching for answers, predators know exactly how to find you. Chapter 2, The Fellowship of Temptation. The road to hell is paved with good intentions and prayer meetings. In a highly religious town like Osset, the Taylor family's lack of church attendance just wouldn't stand. Christine was constantly on Michael. Michael, why don't you go to church? The boys and I have been going. We love it. You might actually walk in there and, I don't know, find healing. People said they've been healed. Please, come with me this Sunday. Promise me. But Michael would just shake his head. No, Christine, no, 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 I don't want to do that. So when Michael's depression deepened over the weeks and Christine worried about her husband's mental state, he decided to try it, to try something new. What would it hurt? Enter the Garber Christian Fellowship group. Now, this wasn't your traditional Sunday morning church service with hymns and polite handshakes. This was something much more intense. Michael quickly fell deeper into the group's teachings, attending meetings where members were exorcised and demons were cast out with what they called the power of God. Think about that. Michael Taylor, this depressed father looking for help, walks into what he thinks is a support group and finds people performing exorcisms as a regular part of their meetings. And instead of running, he stays. Because when you're desperate, even the extreme can feel like salvation. But it gets worse, night dwellers. Much, much worse. Picture Marie Robinson. She enters the story now. Charismatic, spiritual, offering personal attention to this struggling married man. Marie began offering private meetings to Michael. And during these meetings, Michael and Marie would sit across from each other and make the sign of the cross over and over, sometimes for 8+ hours. Eight hours. Let that sink in. Just the two of them, making the sign of the cross repeatedly. They believed that doing this would nullify the evil power of the full moon. Can you imagine? a married father of 5, spending 8 hours alone with another woman, performing what they believed were spiritual rituals. To the other members of the prayer group, it was clear that Michael had fallen head over heels in love with Marie. His time away at church and private prayer meetings was starting to be noticed in his home life. When he wasn't around Marie, he became withdrawn, slipping into deep depressions. He had become sullen and argumentative with his wife and would lash out at his family. I want you to think about poor Christine at home with 5 children, watching her husband disappear emotionally and physically. Christine had a suspicion that the prayer group wasn't doing Michael any favors, and that his private meetings with Marie may have been less than pious. So she did what any wife would do. She confronted the situation. In 1974, Christine stated to the Christian Fellowship group that Michael's relationship with Marie Robinson was not spiritual, but that it was carnal in nature. Imagine that scene. Christine Taylor, mother of 5 boys, walking into that prayer group and calling out her husband and this so-called spiritual leader in front of everyone. The courage that must have taken for that woman to do that. The desperation that she must have felt to have to sink to those measures. So Christine gave him an ultimatum. Leave the church, or I take the boys and we leave you. So Michael left the church, and he admitted that he felt evil within him and was encouraged by the group to continue trying to work out the issue with Robinson. So this is where it gets crazy. So Michael stayed away from the church for a few days, and then he said he felt the evil building inside of him, and that the only way that he didn't feel it was when he was making the sign of the cross with his spiritual leader. So Christine said, all right, Michael, go back. That's what you want anyway. So he did. He went back to this woman that he was obsessed with to work it out alone with her. But this time, her spiritual leader told him that they needed to work it out in the bedroom. Christine was trying to save her marriage. Comment brave for Christine. Anyone else seen how this religious group is making nothing good but turning it worse? Drop a red flag if you continue to see these flags piling up. But what happened in that bedroom would unleash something dark in Michael Taylor that no one was prepared for. Some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. The two entered a bedroom alone, where Michael Taylor made it pass a Robinson, and she rejected him. So picture this moment. Michael Taylor, this depressed, obsessed man, finally alone with the woman he's convinced himself he loves. He makes his move, and she rejects him. For a man that was already struggling with feelings of failure and inadequacy, this rejection wasn't just personal. It was devastating. Upon exiting the bedroom, Robinson related Taylor's behavior to the group, which included his wife. She was waiting outside of the bedroom. So now Michael faces the ultimate humiliation. Not only has he been rejected by the woman that he was obsessed with, but she's told everyone about it, including his wife Christine, the mother of his 5 children. Taylor eventually attacked Robinson verbally, who screamed back at him. Can you imagine this crazy scene? The prayer group that was supposed to heal Michael's marriage has just destroyed it completely. Christine now knows her husband tried to cheat on her with the group leader. Marie has publicly humiliated him. And Michael is losing his mind. So during the next meeting, Michael Taylor received an absolution. But nevertheless, his behavior continued to become more erratic. Think about what absolution means in this context. So basically, what they're telling this man who has just had an emotional breakdown is that God has forgiven them. But forgiveness doesn't fix a shattered psyche. It doesn't heal the shame, the rejection, the complete collapse of everything he thought he wanted. Michael started acting erratically and even screamed at the end of this session and struck Robinson to the ground. So now Michael is becoming violent. He's exhibiting violent tendencies. This mild-mannered butcher, the loving father that neighbors described as kind, he's physically attacking the group leader. This is where the supernatural claims begin. After Robinson rejected his advances, however, Taylor's personality seemed to change. He started acting erratically. And this is where the group made a decision that would lead to the most horrific crime scene British police have ever witnessed. Robinson approached Taylor and his wife with an offer to perform an exorcism because the church group decided that is what he needed. That probably that is what he needed all along. Let me get this straight. A man has an emotional breakdown after being rejected by a woman that he's obsessed with. He becomes depressed, erratic, and violent. And their solution isn't therapy. Isn't medical help. Isn't even just removing him from the group. Their solution is to perform an exorcism. Their solution, let me repeat that again, is to perform an exorcism. Because to them, Michael Taylor, it wasn't having a mental health crisis. he was possessed by demons. And they were going to save him, no matter what it took. This is where everything goes wrong. Comment no if you'd never agree to an exorcism. Christine should have grabbed her kids and run. Comment if you agree. Drop a scared emoji if you're already terrified. And we're only on chapter 3. I would have been so far gone. I would have been gone. Chapter 4. The exorcism begins. They thought they were casting out demons. They were creating one. The exorcism, which occurred between the 5th and the 6th of October 1974 at St. Thomas Church in Gorber, was headed by Vincent. He was an Anglican priest of St. Thomas and was aided by a Methodist clergyman, the Reverend Raymond Smith. Oh yes, there were 3 present at this exorcism. On October the 5th, 1974, picture St. Thomas Church in the middle of the night. Father Peter Vincent and Reverend Raymond Smith met Michael at the church, along with Robinson. The prayer group, the entire prayer group, was also in attendance. So this isn't happening in private like you picture an exorcism happening. No, this was a group. This was a crowd. There are witnesses to what's about to unfold. Multiple people who will watch what happens to Michael Taylor and do nothing to stop it. Over the next 8 hours, they would perform the sacred rite of exorcism. 8 hours from sunset to sunrise. Think about that duration. That's a full workday of whatever they were about to do to this man. Michael, also convinced that he was indeed possessed, was restrained. They tied him down. He actually believed that he was possessed. He said, "I feel evil in every pore of my body." This is crucial. Michael Taylor wasn't fighting this. He wasn't saying, "This is crazy, let me go." He believed that he was possessed by demons. This depressed, broken man was so desperate for answers, so convinced that something evil was inside of him, that he willingly let them tie him down. Michael began thrashing, convulsing, and spitting, and had to be tied to the floor of the church. Picture this scene. A man tied to the church floor, hands stretched back, nailed by a rope to a church pew. Same with his legs, same with his ankles. Wooden crosses were shoved into this man's mouth. He was continuously doused with holy water and was forced to confess their sins that he had not committed. Gets worse. They shoved crucifixes down his throat. They forced him to confess to sins he never committed. Along with all this, he was also subject to much verbal abuse, and according to a few reports, even was subjected to physical abuse by these people who were supposedly exercising him. This wasn't an exorcism. This was torture. I have never in my life heard these methods used in any exorcism ever. Witnesses testified how he began thrashing, spitting, and convulsing, prompting the group to untie him from where they had him to the pews and to actually nail him down to the floor with ropes. Apparently the floors were wood. Witnesses also told of how he was drenched in holy water, how they just kept pouring this over him. And a crucifix was jammed down his throat during the ordeal. And through it all, these people, these supposed Christians, believed that they were helping him. They thought they were saving his soul while they brutalized his body and shattered what was left of his mind. I know that the guy tried to come on to the spiritual leader, but come on, he didn't deserve this. No one is perfect. But here's what's truly terrifying. According to everyone present, Michael Taylor wasn't just having a mental breakdown during this ordeal. He was changing, transforming into something else entirely. This mild-mannered father was disappearing, and something dark was taking his place. This isn't healing. This is torture. Comment abuse, if you agree. 8 hours of this. Drop an exhausted emoji if you can't imagine surviving this. They're literally breaking his mind. Comment if you think this is what created the monster. I think so. But after 8 hours of torture, they were about to make the most deadly, absolutely most deadly mistake of all. Chapter 5, The Fatal Decision. They cast out 40 demons, but left the 3 that mattered most. By 8 a.m., October the 6th, the priest couldn't continue. They were exhausted. They said that he was full of demons, and by their admission, had cast out more than 40 different demons from Michael's body. According to Bill Ellis, an authority on folklore and the occult, in contemporary culture, the exorcists believed that they had, in an all-night ceremony, invoked and cast out at least 40 demons, including those of incest, bestiality, blasphemy, and lewdness. 40 demons. Can you imagine? For 8 hours, they believed they were pulling demon after demon after demon after demon out of this man's body. Demons of every conceivable sin and perversion that you can possibly think of. But here's where the story becomes a nightmare. At the end, exhausted, they allowed Taylor to walk out of the church and go home. Although they felt that at least 3 demons, and the demons were insanity, murder, and violence, were still left in him. They believed, truly, 100% believed, that the demons of murder, violence, and insanity were still possessing Michael Taylor. And they sent him home. They sent him home to his wife, Christine, and their 5 boys. The priest claimed that 3 demons, those of insanity, anger, and murder, were still stubbornly possessing Michael and had not been successfully removed yet. So they said it was going to have to be finished at a later date. The priest said the exorcism would have to be finished at a later date, and advised Michael not to worry. They had only left but 3 demons to be exorcised: murder, madness, and violence. Don't worry, Michael. We'll finish removing the murder demon later. But here's what makes this even more chilling. Someone tried to stop them. One witness to the terrifying events, a minister's wife named Margaret Smith, was to claim later that she had received a warning in her mind from what she believed to be God. She said that God told her that the demon of murder was going to escape from Michael and was going to unalive Christine. A woman also at the exorcism claimed God told her the murder demon was going to unalive Christine Taylor. She even pleaded with the 2 priests as Michael was walking to his car to complete the exorcism. Pull him back in here and complete it. But they dismissed her warnings. And then another woman, claiming divine warning that murder was about to happen, they just looked at her and shook their heads. We will do it at a later time. And they sent Michael Taylor home anyway. Instead, they told Michael and Christine to go home, to rest, and prepare for the next and final part of the exorcism, which was to be performed the following day. So at 8 a.m. on October the 6th, 1974, after 8 hours of torture that they called exorcism, After claiming that demons of murder, violence, and insanity still possessed him, after receiving a divine warning that he would indeed unalive his wife, they sent Michael Taylor home. Witnesses said that he was exhausted from the ordeal, that he would hold his throat where they had tried to shove the crucifix down his throat. And they arrived home around 8 a.m. that morning on the 6th of October. I want you to picture Christine Taylor now, mother of 5, walking through her front door with her husband, who had just spent the night being tortured in a church. A husband that religious leaders just told her still contained demons of murder and violence. What was she thinking? Was she afraid? Did she believe that the demons were real? Or was she just trying to hold her family together while everything fell apart around her? They sent a man home to his 5 children and his wife. They believed that he had murder demons in him. Comment if you think that was insane. Margaret Smith tried to warn them. Comment, listen to women if you think they should have listened. We generally are. Christine should have taken her kids and run. Drop a run emoji if you agree. Because in less than 2 hours, the quiet streets of Ossett would witness the most horrific crime scene in British history. We're going to take a 10-minute intermission, and when I come back, I will finish reading about this possession. I'll be right back. Hello, Sahak. That's right. Most of the time we know what we're talking about. I've said that so many times. Hey, Amabama. It's just the craziest story. I mean, it's just insane. Oh yeah. Hey, Beach Nut. Yeah, they let him leave. I'm telling you, I would have not went back with him. I would not. Thank you, X. Right. It does sound like something that happened back in the Dark Ages. Hey, Ohio girl. Yes, please. I am creating a new TikTok page that is just strictly scary stories. They'll be dropping between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. every night. And I'm telling you, what's going to really grow it is if you go in and you engage. If you engage from the bottom up. So copy the link. You don't actually have to share it. But copying the link makes the TikTok algorithm think, oh, so this person thinks that someone else might like this. And then you click save. Oh, whoa, they want to watch it again. And then comment. Please comment full sentences. I'm going in and following, well, not following, but I'm going in and engaging, and I put a sentence, full body chills on this story. You know, and that is a full sentence. So the TikTok algorithm doesn't pick up on you being a bot. You know, it says, oh, this is an actual human being. Then like it. Now, I've been tapping the screen and giving at least 10 likes for a video that I really, really like. But please engage with it. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help anyone if you just watch it. And please watch it from beginning to end. And it does not help. If you don't comment, if you don't engage with it, TikTok thinks it's not worthy of being pushed out. And I'm telling you, I'm working hard now on trying to get stories categorized, thanks to X and Julie. Working hard on getting that done. I'm working hard. So please, 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 we're all working so, so hard. Help me out and engage with the video. It does not take that long. And if you don't even want to hear the full story, which I don't know why you wouldn't, you love stories, but if you don't, you can just hit the twice fast forward and you can do that. But please engage with it from the very beginning to the very end, and like all the way up. Engagement from the bottom up. Please remember that. Please, please, please. That's how we're going to grow. Thank you, lovely. It's all about engagement. I'm telling you, it's all about engagement. I started engaging, and that's when my stories became categorized. If you notice, most of them up at the top where it normally would say find related content, now it says ghost stories. So if someone, looks up ghost story, now it will go in and it'll show my video. It will show that video as a ghost story. So that's what it's free. All it is just using your fingers. That's all. So I so appreciate it. Hello, Cigar Rocker. Cigar Rocker. Do you like scary stories? Thank you, Melanie. Nighty night. Thank you, Bomb. No, Diana, on my other account, the one that I just created on Sunday. Thank you, Cruella. I'm only following people that are horror lovers, scary story lovers. That's all I'm following. How many minutes has it been? Probably about 10. It's really not that hard at all. Really not. And I have found some scary story creators that I really like engaging with. Right, Lindy. Yes. I am lovely. And if anyone has followed me tonight, when I get off the show and I'm sitting down, I will go back in and follow. You're welcome, lovely. Hey, Susie Q. Three more minutes. We'll start at 10. Oh, are you looking forward to Cherry Hill? I was writing some of that today. Slow night for likes, but we're finally over 200K. Thank you so, so much. This is probably the last night that I will be in this room. Let's just say I was writing one part of Cherry Hill today, and when I have a moment of inspiration, if it gives me full body chills, then I know it's going to give my audience full body chills. So I'm sitting there. I was at the office today, and I was writing, and then I just had this vision, this idea, and I was like, it was just like, oh my God, wow. And so I'm sitting there and I'm trying to type it out and everything. And yeah, so I had one of those moments today. I've had many of those moments in Crimson Queen, Blood in the Snow, all my books. I have had that. Well, do it, Tigger. You can do it. Are you moving, lovely? Nice. Yes, now please keep me in your thoughts. I am going to be taking everything that is in this small, tiny room and moving it down to a much bigger space and hopefully not breaking my neck on the way down. So I have converted my garage, my 2-car garage, into my media space. I know, Tigger. I'm gonna try. It's gonna be great. I am really looking forward to it. It was work. I'm telling you, my arms, my upper arms are so sore. My legs. I still have things to move out of there, but you won't see it so much. I cleared out the space that I needed. So I'm excited. So hopefully Sunday night. Oh, really, Tigger? Oh, I would love to hear them sometime. All right, who's ready to get back into this crazy position? Ready? Possession is Julie's favorite. Chapter 6. The morning after hell. Evil doesn't wait for convenient timing. It was about 9:45 a.m. the next morning, October the 7th, and not 2 hours after Michael and Christine had been sent home to rest up to prepare for the next part of the exorcism, which was to happen later that night. Not even 2 hours. The sun was barely up. The children were probably still sleeping. In small towns like Osset, 9:45 a.m. on a Monday morning is quiet. People are at work, kids are at school, everything is peaceful. A police patrol car passing through the normally quiet streets of Osset came upon a shocking and unnerving sight. Coming around a corner, the officer in the car, PC Ian Walker, was confronted by the sight of a man stumbling around in the middle of the road, naked and covered head to toe in blood. Imagine PC Ian Walker probably having a routine morning patrol, thinking about getting home to his own family after his shift. He turns a corner in this peaceful little town and sees something that will haunt him for the rest of his life. A naked man, covered in so much blood that he's unrecognizable, stumbling through the street like a zombie. Michael, who was at that time receiving care in a nearby hospital, was arrested. But wait, what happened? What had Michael done that left him covered in blood, wandering naked through the streets and carried to the hospital by this PC? The police followed the trail of blood back to the Taylor family home, and what they found inside defied description. While at home, Taylor brutally murdered his wife, Christine. This is the crazy part. There was no weapon involved. None. He attacked his wife with his bare hands. And he did unspeakable things. Her eyes, her tongue, just ripping into her. And then apparently the poodle that they had was barking, and he unalived that as well. There was no weapon involved. They said when they found her, she was completely unrecognizable. This mild-mannered butcher, this loving father, had literally torn his wife apart with his fingernails, his fist, and his hands. While Christine had died of shock and asphyxiation on her own blood, mercifully quickly, Michael had turned his attentions to the Taylor dog. The police officer who discovered the scene said something that has haunted investigators for decades. If I can't say it, you know it's bad. When the investigators arrived, the police officer said, "You don't want to see this. I've seen nothing like it before, and I've seen many murders. It's the wife, and she's got no..." He ripped her apart, son. It's a right mess in there. There's not much of her left. It was described as being the most horrific crime scene that any police officer who had attended that it was ever to see. This apparently is what the demons of murder, violence, and insanity had done in less than 2 hours. The most horrific crime scene police have ever seen. Drop a scared emoji if you can't even imagine it. This happened in 2 hours after the exorcism was performed. Comment if you think that the exorcism caused this. Those poor children lost both of their parents in one day. One unalived, the other one taken away. Comment with a broken heart emoji for the kids. But when police questioned Michael about what he'd done, his answer would chill investigators to the bone. Chapter 7, the confession that chilled Britain. Sometimes the most terrifying words are the ones that are spoken calmly. Michael was taken into police custody from the hospital, and when interviewed some hours later, when he was deemed rational to talk, he was asked to try to explain what had happened. So I want you to picture Michael Taylor in that interview room. Hours earlier, he had been covered head to toe in his wife's blood, wandering naked through the streets. Now, he's sitting across from detectives, and they really need to try to understand what happened in that house. He told Detective Inspector Brian Smith about the exorcism that had occurred only hours before, saying it was a long night. It was a long night. That's how he described 8 hours of being tortured in the name of God. But his explanation for the murder, that was even more chilling. Michael told investigators that the exorcism the previous night had failed. They were too late, he said. I was compelled by a force within me to destroy everything living within the house. I was compelled by a force within me to destroy everything living within the house. Not just his wife, everything living. Christine, the dog. Thank God the children were at school. If the children had been home from school, he never provided a motive for unaliving Christine beyond released. I am released. It is done. The evil in her has been destroyed. The evil in her has been destroyed. Think about what this means. Michael Taylor didn't just unalive his wife in a fit of rage or jealousy or mental breakdown. He believed that he was destroying evil. He thought that he was doing God's work. The exorcism hadn't cast out demons. It had convinced him that his wife was the demon. That's the thing. But here's what makes this case even more terrifying. And you're not going to believe this. Taylor was acquitted at trial due to reasons of insanity. He spent 4 years in a psychiatric hospital before he was released. 4 years for the most horrific murder British police had ever investigated. Michael Taylor served 4 years in a mental hospital and then walked free. None of the church members present at the exorcism were ever charged with any wrongdoing on their part. Not one charge. And Michael Taylor never spent a day in prison for the brutal unaliving of his wife. The people who tortured him for 8 hours, who sent him home believing he still contained murder demons, who ignored divine warnings that he would unalive his wife, they faced no consequences. This story is just insane. Do you agree? The priest, the prayer group members, Marie Robinson, who started this whole nightmare, nothing happened to them. Nothing. Four years for the most brutal murder ever. Common justice. if you think this is wrong. The church members faced no consequences. Drop a mad, angry emoji if this makes you angry. He thought his wife was the demon. Comment if you think the exorcism brainwashed him. But Michael Taylor's story didn't end with his release, because the demons weren't finished with him yet. This is like one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. Chapter 8, the demons that never left. Some people are never truly free from the darkness they've invited in. After his release from Bradford Royal Infirmary, Michael moves back to Oset. There was little information about his life after his release, and we do not know if he ever reconciled with his children. But picture this. Michael Taylor, once he was released, walking back into the same town where he brutally murdered his wife, the same streets where he wandered naked and covered in blood, the same neighbors who knew him as a loving father now knew him as a monster. I'd move out of town. In the years after Christine's death, however, Michael was reported to have attempted to unalive himself on 4 separate occasions. He tried to jump off a bridge and other things. He ended up injuring his legs and his back even more. 4 attempts to unalive himself. Think about what was going through his mind. The guilt, the horror of what he'd done, the memory of tearing his wife apart with his bare hands, the realization that he had completely destroyed his family, traumatized his children, ended the life of the woman who tried to save their marriage. But was it guilt, or was it something else? Some people who knew Michael after his release said he still believed he'd been possessed, that he still thought demons had made him unalive Christine. He wasn't trying to unalive his own self out of remorse. He was trying to unalive himself to stop the demons from making him hurt someone else. And maybe he was right to be afraid, because the story doesn't end there. In 2005, Michael Taylor made the headlines again, this time for indecently touching a teenage girl. He was found guilty, and this time he went to prison. He began to display the same strange behavior as he did back in 1974. 31 years later, 3 decades after the exorcism, after the murder, after the attempts to take his own life, Michael Taylor was displaying the same behavior that had convinced people he was possessed. While he was in jail, he again started showing erratic behavior, prompting authorities to send him for psychiatric observation and treatment. The same erratic behavior, the same need for psychiatric intervention, as if whatever had been awakened in him that night in 1974 had never really left. So what really happened to Michael Taylor? Was he possessed by demons that were never fully exorcised? Or was he a mentally ill man who was tortured by religious extremists until his mind completely shattered? The truth might be more terrifying than either explanation alone. Because maybe, just maybe, the exorcism didn't fail to cast out demons. Maybe it succeeded in creating one. 31 years later, same behavior. Comment, do you think he was still possessed? 4 attempts at trying to unalive himself. Drop a broken heart if you feel sorry for what he became. Or was this just severe mental illness made worse by torture? Comment your theory. But to understand what really happened that night, we need to look at what exorcisms actually do to the human mind. Chapter 9, The Science of Creating Monsters. Sometimes the cure becomes the poison. Let me tell you what really happened to Michael Taylor and why this case is so much more terrifying than simple demonic possession. Michael's defense team called insanity and argued that their client, already that was in a fragile mental state, was pushed to the limit by this so-called exorcism. But my thing is, there was no use of a weapon, and he completely obliterated his wife. Think about this scientifically for a moment. Michael Taylor was already struggling. Depression from chronic back pain, unemployment, feelings of inadequacy as a provider. His mental health was fragile as a piece of china. Then he becomes obsessed with Marie Robinson. When she rejects him, his whole world collapses. Humiliation, shame, the destruction of his marriage, his mental state only deteriorates further. But instead of getting medical help, instead of therapy or medication, he's told his problems are caused by demons. The defense casts doubt on the possession theory by calling it neurotics, feeding neurosis to a neurotic. Neurotics feeding neurosis to a neurotic. I believe that is exactly what happened here. You take a mentally fragile man and convince him he's possessed by evil spirits. Then you torture him for 8 hours while reinforcing this belief. You tell him that he still has 3 demons left in him: murder, violence, and insanity. That they're still inside him. Deal with it. We'll get rid of them the next night. What do you think is going to happen? Here's what the exorcism actually did. It gave Michael Taylor's violence a religious justification. It convinced him that when he felt rage, when he felt the urge to hurt someone, it wasn't him. It was those 3 demons. He cast doubt on the possession theory by calling it neurotics, feeding neurosis to a neurotic. When he unalived Christine, he wasn't taking responsibility for his actions. He was compelled by a force within him. The demons made him do it. The exorcism had programmed him to believe that his violent impulses were supernatural, not psychological. But here's the most chilling part. The exorcism didn't just excuse his violence, it sacrificed it. When he said, the evil in her has been destroyed, he genuinely believed, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that he was doing God's work. Think about what level of psychological manipulation that is. They convinced this man that murder was divine justice. And that's why he kept showing the same behaviors decades later. Not because demons were still possessing him, not because the fundamental programming hadn't changed. He'd never learned to take responsibility for his mental health, his impulses, and his actions. The exorcism had taught him that he wasn't in control of himself, that when darkness came, it came from outside forces. This spiritual leader, Robinson, she was the one that was telling him that he was full of evil. So he never learned to fight it from within. They programmed him to believe that violence was supernatural. Comment if you think this makes sense. The exorcism gave him permission to be violent. Drop a scary emoji if this terrifies you. This is why we need mental health care, not exorcisms. Comment therapy if you agree. But the real horror of this story isn't what happened to Michael Taylor. It's what it reveals about the darkness that lives inside of a soul. The most terrifying monsters aren't the ones that possess us. The demon inside a soul. They're the ones we create ourselves. The trial sparked controversy, making people ask why the ancient ritual of exorcism was still even practiced at all. But that's the wrong question. The right question is, how do ordinary people become monsters? Because Michael Taylor wasn't born evil, was he? He was a loving father, a kind neighbor, a mild-mannered man who worked hard to provide for his family. The capacity for extreme violence wasn't supernatural. I believe it was human. Think about what really happened in this story. A depressed man became obsessed with another woman. When rejected, he had a mental breakdown. And instead of getting medical help, he was told that his problems were caused by demons. Then he was tortured in the name of God until his grip on reality completely shattered. And then, this is the most important part, he was given religious permission to act on his violent impulses. The real horror isn't that Michael Taylor was possessed by demons, almost called him Michael Myers. It's that ordinary people, neighbors, church members, priests, watched a man's mind break and called it holy work. They called it holy work. Margaret Smith said she received a divine warning that he was going to unalive Christine, and they ignored her. Did she? They sent him home with what they believed were murder demons still inside him. Oops, I just said that word, schmurder. They chose their religious ritual over a woman's life. Every single person in that church that night shares responsibility for Christine Taylor's death. They created the monster that killed her. But here's what should terrify you the most. This could happen anywhere, to anyone. How many people do you know who are struggling with depression, mental illness, marital problems? How many are looking for answers in the wrong places? How many are being told their problems are spiritual when they're actually medical? The demons that possessed Michael Taylor weren't supernatural. They were very human. Depression, obsession, shame, rage, and the terrible human capacity to justify anything when we're desperate enough. The exorcism didn't cast out those demons. It fed them, it gave them power. It told them that they were holy. Michael Taylor, now in his late 70s, may still be alive somewhere in England today. I don't know. The children who lost both parents that October morning in 1974, 5 boys who went from a loving family to orphans in the span of 2 hours, grew up carrying this trauma. Marie Robinson, the woman whose rejection started this spiral into madness, she faced no consequences. The priest who tortured Michael for 8 hours and sent him home, believing he still contained murder demons, no consequences. The prayer group members who watched a man's sanity shatter and called it God's work, they just went back to their normal lives, still performing exorcisms. Only Christine Taylor paid the ultimate price for everyone else's failures. This story isn't about the supernatural. It's about what happens when we fail each other, when we choose ignorance over science, when we pick ritual over reality, when we let vulnerable people fall through the cracks of a system that should protect them. Michael Taylor needed a psychiatrist, not an exorcist. He needed medication. He needed therapy. He needed professional help for his depression and mental health issues. Instead, he got 8 hours of having a crucifix rammed down his throat, followed by a religious justification for murder. The most chilling part of this entire story, it's still happening. Right now, somewhere, there are people being told that their mental health problems are spiritual battles. People being subjected to exorcisms instead of getting real medical help. People whose families will pay the price when untreated mental illness explodes into violence. Christine Taylor died because a group of people believed in demons more than they believed in doctors. She died because her husband's cries for help were answered with torture instead of treatment. The real demon in this story wasn't the supernatural. I don't think it was. It was ignorance. It was fanaticism. It was the human incapacity to inflict suffering and call it salvation. And that demon is still out there, still looking for its next victim, still hiding behind the mask of good intentions. Christine Taylor deserved better. Comment, justice for Christine, to honor her memory. Mental health is health. Drop a brain if you believe in therapy over exorcism. This story should be a warning. Share if you think people need to hear this. The real monsters are often the ones trying to save us. Comment if this changed how you think about religious extremism. It did me. I will be working on creating that good ending for the show. Once I'm in my new space, I believe that's going to open up a lot of new ideas, creative ideas for me. So tonight, I am going to end with that. We will be back on Sunday night with the continuance of Cherry Hill. I know that y'all are excited about that. Thank you. Thank you, X. Thank you so much. And I just want you all to know, I appreciate you all so much. When I'm reading, I'm not able to do, you know, what I see other creators doing. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. No, I'm working and I'm trying to provide you the best story time experience. But don't think that I don't, you know, hear the noises and see things popping up on the screen. I appreciate everything that you do. 100%. I appreciate each and every one of you. I don't want you to think that you're not appreciated, because you absolutely are. Thank you, X. So I want everyone to have a marvelous weekend. And I want you to come back Sunday night ready for Cherry Hill. Oh, thank you, Cruella. You know, I'm digging this green hair. Wonderful, Nana Sherry. We were dealing with shipping things. I should be sending out your autographed copy of The Haunting of Hastings House tomorrow. Hey there, Rotting Savior. Yeah, that it was a tough one, but it was a good one. You're most welcome, Nana. Most welcome. So everyone, have a great evening. I'm going to go and find me something to eat, and then I'm going to go to bed and watch a scary movie. I love you all. I'll see you Sunday night. Hopefully in a new space. Love you all. Bye-bye, YouTube. Love you all.